I think it's safe to say that the Jeep Wrangler is one of the most American vehicles there is. Not only is its heritage rooted all the way back during World War II and has been a staple on our streets since then, but it is designed in Michigan, it is built in Ohio. This is an American vehicle. And so today, as frigid as it might be, I'm gonna be doing a little bit more voiceover in this video than I normally do. Today, we're gonna be taking a look at the two most recent generations of the Jeep Wrangler and comparing the JKU to this current generation JL. So let's start off with what's under the hood. The JK generation started with the 3.8 liter V6, and that's what we have here today. This makes 202 horsepower and was used from 2007, where this generation started, until 2011, where it was actually swapped out for the 3.6 liter that we'll talk about here in a second. It's a fine motor. It did the job. It was a good bridge gap between the 4 liter straight 6 and now the 3.6 liter. So it worked as a middleman, fine enough, and it just wasn't that remarkable. The JL retains the 3.6 liter V6, which makes 285 horsepower. So an 83 horsepower jump over the 3.8 liter. It's a lot better of an engine, has VVT and things like that, and this has now become the bread and butter of the Stellantis group, whether that be a Jeep Wrangler or base model Ram or the V6 Chargers and Challengers all came with this engine in this era. So it works fine enough. The big difference you're gonna see is transmissions. While the JL has an 8-speed automatic transmission, very modern, very usable, very economically friendly transmission, the JK with the 3.8 liter had a 4-speed. 4 speeds. That's all you get. 4-speed and 4-wheel drive. Yeah, very, very outdated here in the JKU. So, this is big points for the JL. It's a lot smoother. It's a lot quieter around town. It's not begging for attention like the 4-speed is when you get it onto the highway. So the JL definitely wins this category. Interior, you will see a lot of similarities. Let's start off with the JK, the 2011. This was the first Wrangler to offer a touchscreen infotainment system from the factory. So that already was a big step into the future. But you do have a lot of plastic usage up here. This is a financial crisis Jeep, and so you get a lot of plastic usage. However, as you could tell, the layout of the Jeep itself, or the modern Jeep, is already here. This looks like an older JL, and so you could start to see where those decisions were starting to be made here in the JK that stuck around to the JL. The JL is a lot cleaner, has a bigger screen, of course, and feels a little bit more modern. And I say a little bit kind of tongue-in-cheek. It still feels like it's a 2011, at least stylistic-wise. The interior styling of the Jeep hasn't changed all that much in really 20 years. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'll let you be the judge. But overall, the JL is a much nicer place to be, just sitting-wise. And it does have better tech. It has USB-C inputs, where the JK didn't even have any USB inputs. So if you're a techie fan, the JL is of course the way to go. Exterior wise, I don't think I really need to comment on. They're both Jeep Wranglers, both available in hard tops, both available as 4 and 2-door variants. Of course, the JK was the first generation to get a 4-door variant, but it's carry on to the JL and has become the standard choice. So now I have the displeasure of getting them out on the road. We'll start off here in the JKU. It's rough. Now, it's better than the outgoing Wrangler, the TJ, and the reason mainly for that is actually the longer wheelbase. This was the first generation of Wrangler to offer a 4-door that has now become the most popular version of the Wrangler. But with that about 20 extra inches, 20 and a half extra inches of chassis, it does ride nicer than the TJ. It's still not that nice. Now, given the conditions, we will not be doing a drag race here today. Not that a Jeep Wrangler really should be drag raced, I mean, they're very unaerodynamic. Actually, factually, they are less aerodynamic than a cow. But I hate to say it, the JL does drive better. Now, that should be expected. With each generation, I do expect the Wrangler to drive better and better and better. It would be worse if it wasn't. However, it is so marginal that if you hop one car to the other like I did for this video, you don't notice a whole lot. So if you grew up driving JKs and you're ready to jump into the JL, don't expect much. It's not going to be like switching from a Yugo to a spaceship. It's going to be like switching from a Yugo to a Yugo Cabriolet. It's very, very bumpy. It's very rigid. It's not very forgiving. You can totally tell that this is essentially a utility vehicle that you can drive on the road, but can and should are two different words. I think it rides fine enough, but like putting it into a corner, I mean, it just doesn't feel that stable at any kind of speed. But again, this isn't what the Wrangler was designed for. It's not supposed to go through neighborhoods. It's meant to go through harsh terrain, and so, unfortunately, I don't have any harsh terrain for you today, unless you consider the Fox Valley Mall rough terrain. Don't really have anything to show you here today. So on-road is all I can comment on, and it ain't pretty. Now, the whole rollover tippy thing is kind of a thing of the past, and the JL definitely feels more stable on the road as well, but you're gonna get those same characteristics that the Jeep is so famous for. It kind of feels like you're sitting on top of it rather than in it. You know, you're way up here. You know, your fulcrum is very off. You know, you feel very high up, and this is not a sporty drive at all. So there it is. The JL's better, but only by a very, very thin margin. So how do these two vehicles stack up against one another? Well, it's clear that the JL is a very hefty evolution of the JK. It's better in almost every conceivable way. It gets 2 more miles per gallon on average, almost touching the 20s. It has a smoother ride, has better tech. But the JK was a necessary step in order to get to the JL. Without the JK, we would have nothing. And so, of course, you have to tip your cap to what the JK was able to do for its time. So with that being said, I always raise this question at the end of my head-to-head comparisons. If you were able to get a 0-mile, brand spanking new JK or JL dropped off in your driveway, which one would you pick? I would probably still go with the JL just because of its safety advances, its modern technology, and it's still a Jeep at the end of the day. It's going to be able to do the same things that the JKU was able to do, but in a slight bit more comfort and a couple extra amenities like USB-C, which is, you know, kind of nice. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me borrow both Jeep Wranglers for today's video. I hope you guys are staying warm, because I most certainly am not. Take care, everyone.